Okay. Okay. I can't even... Is this what we're doing here? Okay, cool. I don't know why the angle always comes up so weird on my end, where it's like it looks good and then as soon as I hit live, it's like super zoomed in. But whatever. It matters what I'm saying, doesn't it? So the angle will be what the angle is. Yay! Notifying viewers that I am live. Hello and howdy. So I think what we're gonna do is start with a sermon or a mini sermon, or I'm just gonna talk until I feel like the message is delivered, and then I'll answer some questions. So until I feel like the message is delivered, and then I'll answer some questions. So, number one, let's talk about some bullshit myths in manifestation. And this is for anything that you're manifesting. I don't know if the angle is like whatever, but it doesn't matter. One myth in manifestation: you do not need to do healing work. You do not need to do shadow work. Because if you for something to fix, for something to heal, for something to be wrong with you, what does that mean, friends and neighbors in the manifestation community? That means that you are inadvertently selling a story that there is something wrong with you when there is nothing the fuck wrong with you. So the first thing you want to do is leave that spiritual love and light bullshit at the door. You want to leave that shit at the door. You do not need to do any healing because you're not broken. So let's start with that. Now, when a trigger comes up and you feel a negative emotion that is associated with it, you're not broken. So let's start with that. Now, when a trigger comes up and you feel a negative emotion that is associated with the thought that you are thinking, that right there is aware of. You don't need to keep searching in the moment. You ask yourself, what story is this trigger trying to tell me who I'm being? Okay, what story is affiliated with that trigger? So if you're manifesting money and you check your bank balance and you feel triggered, the story likely is that you don't have any money or you're in a place of lack. So what are you going to do? You're going to be mindful that there's a story. Again, nothing to heal, nothing to really fix. You just want to adjust your awareness of that story. You're going to shift your awareness from a place of lack with money to a place of benefit with money, to a place of abundance, okay? And you're going to be mindful to a place of benefit with money, to a place of abundance, okay? And you're going to be mindful of your thoughts. That's really all you need to do. Myth number two with manifesting: you do not need this, okay? And you're going to be mindful of your thoughts. That's really all you need to do. Myth number two with manifesting: you do not need to feel it real. You did not need to feel anything real when these errands, okay? So that's how you want to be. So for example, with an SP, and I know a lot of you are guilty of this shit. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Innocent until proven guilty, but I'm gonna prove you guilty right here. With SP, proven guilty, but I'm gonna prove you guilty right here. With SP suddenly calls you or texts you. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Yes, excitement can be a good sensation in your vessel, but that is also implying that desire is not feeling natural. You're excited because it's something that is new. It's not implying the naturalness of being in the relationship with the SP. Because if you were naturally in the feeling state of being in the relationship with the SP, you wouldn't get excited if they text you You might feel like, oh, that's so cute, they're thinking of me, but you're not gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe they text. It's not gonna be from that place of astonishment, because if you are astonished at something, that means it's not natural. And that is what Neville Goddard is talking about. Feeling is the secret, is the naturalness of the desire. So if you are happily married to someone for 20 plus years, you are not going to be like, oh my God, I can't. It is my partner. Okay. So that is what feeling is. Now, all of this shit that motherfuckers talk about in terms of, being in vibrational alignment with whatever the fuck it is, you're not going by an emotion. You're going alignment with whatever the fuck it is. You're not going by an emotion. You are aligned. It is in congruence with where you're at. And when you are in congruence with a knowing, you're just going to know it. You're not even going to feel it in terms of an emotion. You are just going to be like, yeah, that's it. It's done. It's mine. That is what true alignment is. It's not, I think Abraham Hicks is a great place for beginners who are just learning about manifesting, because it's explained in sort of this melodious way, but a lot of times it can be misconstrued, because when Abraham Hicks is saying you want to be feeling good and you want to be in vibrational alignment, motherfuckers just automatically assume that if you're not feeling good, you're not in alignment with your desire, and that's not true. So the example that I personally like to utilize is, let's say you're the CEO of Chase Bank. I don't know why that flew out of my mouth, but that's for someone. You're the CEO of Chase Bank and you have a lot of money in your bank account. You don't even think about money, right? You go out, okay, on a weekend excursion to the Bahamas. You get drunk as shit. You're hungover. You're not feeling good, right? You're not fucking feeling good, right? But that's not taking away from the knowingness that you are the CEO of Chase Bank and you have a lot of money in your bank account. Do you see the difference? So if you are in alignment with your desire, be it money, a person, perfect health, a great job, whatever it is, when you are in alignment, even if you are having a day where you are feeling like shit, it's like the fucking hangover scenario. That doesn't take away who you are. You're in a great relationship, but you might just be having mood swings that day. Your emotions might be all over the place that day. You might know that you're a multimillionaire, but your emotions might be all over the place. It's not changing what you know about yourself. So this is where you ideally want to be in terms of your manifestation, that no matter what the outside is presenting, no matter what you are feeling as an emotion, is that taking away your knowingness of who you are? Because if it's not, great job. If it is, then that means that you are not in alignment with the thing. Or maybe you were in alignment with the thing for a little bit and then you fell out of alignment and you let the emotion run away with you. Okay. Now here's something else. I was talking about manifestation myths, but this is how the sermon usually goes. I just meander amongst a bunch of different topics. So when an emotion comes up, okay, and if a thought was not associated with that emotion, you just maybe woke up feeling anxiety. If a thought was not associated with that emotion, you just maybe woke up feeling anxiety, feeling angry, or you still have to articulate that emotion into a word. But if it seems like an emotion comes out of nowhere, what that means is that You have had so many thoughts that were in alignment with that detrimental emotion that now that emotion, it kind of was like a rabbit farm where it kept breeding and it kept breeding, and then now it's like overgrown. Okay, so you had thoughts that were fucking each other. They were raw dogging the whole time. These negative thoughts, they were raw dogging, and you were not paying mind to them. Raw dogging the whole time. These negative thoughts, they were raw dogging, and you were not paying mind to them. And these thoughts were producing emotions in your vessel. So not be the command. What happens is not be the command. What happens is that you build up this emotion, then the emotions were just they bred this emotion. Then the emotions were just they bred. They pop up out of nowhere without you thinking of it, which is why sometimes motherfuckers could be like, oh, they just felt a certain way, right? They had a bad feeling. Yeah, because if you backtrack, you are going to see that those emotions were associated with a fear-based thought. A lot of them that you let breed indiscriminately, and now they ran amok in your fucking mind. I just got some deja vu. Don't know why, but I'm just throwing that out there, okay? So you might think that sometimes emotions have a life of their own, but all of the emotions, I promise you, they came from unchecked, repetitive thoughts that you didn't want, okay? So because that is true, the opposite is also true. So because that is true, the opposite is also true. So if you're constantly force feeding yourself make you feel good, what's going to start to happen is that now it's still injecting those positive sensations into your subconscious mind, which is producing the emotions. But now if you're feeding it with positive good things that you like, and remember, negative and positive is different for everyone, so you have to decide what is negative and positive for you. But if you are deeming thoughts as positive, then what's going to happen if you force feed? Robotic affirmations are perfect for this. Your emotions are going to start to be in alignment with those positive thoughts, and you might wake up, I'm excited today, I'm just in a good mood, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Because the thought will always be the command. And if an emotion is coming up, know that it still was produced by a thought, which is why it can seem like when you're spiraling, the emotions are there as an added element to the matrix to get you to, I don't know, wander down different roads of believing that this is like really real. But if you really did your homework and you said, okay, what thoughts were I thinking before these emotions occurred, then what's going to happen is that you're going to notice that there was likely a pattern, and the pattern was likely negative. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to say about that. And if you are having any more of questions in regards to that, Joe Dispenza talks very in depth about thoughts and emotions, how when you're thinking something for a long enough amount of time, it's just going to keep breeding these emotions, and these emotions eventually, might seem like they are running the show, which is why a lot of times motherfuckers can make impulsive decisions due to an emotion that they're feeling, and they don't like the result of that. Well, if you had minded your thoughts from the beginning, they wouldn't have festered into these emotions. These emotions wouldn't have surfaced to try to manipulate you into going down that path, and then you wouldn't have emotionally reacted. So the thing with manifesting is that, yes, emotions are valid to an extent where you want to ideally have a pleasant 3D experience, and you want to be, feeling calm and neutral. But it comes from the thought. So you don't need to feel anything. You just have to keep your mind on what you want rather than what you don't want. And it's going to become easier the more that you force feed. Yes, I fucking went there. You're going to force feed yourself thoughts. And that is how the true change is implemented. So if you would normally have an emotional reaction to something, what you're going to do is notice when that emotion comes up, and then you are going to say, I am breaking the algorithm right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the switch, and I'm going to say, not today, emotion. I understand what you're doing. Well, we'll saw that shit the fuck out, and I'm going to keep my mind on what I want. And this will save you a lot of time in the 3D, for the simple fact of, if you have an emotional outburst, likely a lot of times after that emotional outburst, you're like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have, right? So what I recommend, and this is my way of, discussing the law is neutral, right? Remember, it's reason without passion. You want to always get yourself to at least a neutral place. I don't give a fuck if you're really excited. You really wouldn't want to make emotional decisions when you're super excited either, right? Because you don't, why? You've all heard these sayings of, oh yeah, someone was drunk and then, this happened. And after that, they still regretted some decisions that they made, even though they were in a great mood, whether they were drunk or whether they were just like over promising in the moment. Okay. That's still an emotional action, whether it's coming from a positive place, coming from a negative place. What I find to be beneficial is to get yourself to a calm, neutral place. You're not too excited, just like, oh my God, SP called me, now we're gonna get married. And it's like, that's fake too. Even if it feels better, it's still fake, because if you're with your SP, you're not going to be excited like this if they're calling you. Okay? If you have $10 million in your bank account, you're not going to be like, oh my God, every time you check your bank app. You're not going to be doing that. You're just going to be like, okay, like, yeah, it is what it is. Okay? So you always want to get yourself to baseline neutral, because baseline neutral is ground zero. It's the beginning of everything. And since every now moment is brand new, you can get to the now moment of ground zero in every other moment. It doesn't matter if you had a thought 10 minutes ago. It doesn't matter if you had an emotional spiral 10 minutes ago. What matters is what you are doing now. So where are you placing your focus now? Where are you placing your focus in each and every moment? That is the most important thing that you want to look at, okay? But you do not need to feel good all the time in order to have things manifest, because you've successfully as well manifested things that you didn't want to happen, and you weren't feeling good about those things, and they still happened, which prove that you don't need to be in a good mood to manifest. You're always manifesting. And the emotions are manifestation. They're a byproduct of continual thoughts that you are thinking. Now it's time for my sip of water. So that's what I got going on. Manifestation myths. Now I actually think I'm going to talk just a tiny bit about time, and I will go into the chat. So with time and manifesting, you don't want to focus on time, okay? And I realize that there are certain things that they might seem like they are more dire or, more important, right, to the egoistic monkey mind, but nothing is more or less important than anything else, because the judgment is coming from your ego, okay? So yes, you can judge, I want this, I prefer this over that, and that's fine, but to your God self, there's just everything all at once, okay? So good and bad are the same thing, different degree. Now, when you're looking at time, instead of placing your attentive focus on what you want, you're now placing your attentive focus on the time. So you're going to be more aware of time in the equation. Now, there is something, I believe I might have spoken about this in a few, like way back, who knows. I'm quite sure I did, but there is Kairos time and there's Chronos time. And Chronos time is how we are taught to look at time from the third dimensional vantage point. That's where you get, the word chronological, right? Chronological order. It's implying time as like a linear sequence of events. Okay. That's why, you have scheduling, you have calendars, you have clocks, things of that nature. When you are looking at Kairos time, if you looked up the definition of Kairos time, it's more about an opportune moment rather than a page on a linear schedule. So an opportune moment is the best time for the thing to happen when you are in alignment with it. So a lot of times when someone is manifesting, they're very, they're comparing their manifestations to other motherfuckers, and like, this motherfucker got their shit in a week. What's taking me so long? There you go. Judgment, comparison, looking at time. Okay, that's what you're doing, to be quite honest. Okay, but if you're looking at it as, it doesn't matter when anyone else got their shit because they're not me and I'm the center of all creation, why would anyone else matter? Okay, I'm the one that matters. And when you start just focusing on your desire, not putting a comparison on anyone else, not focusing on time, when you are focused on your desires, you are in alignment with the Kairos version of time, which is opportune moment. This is this is likely why when you're not thinking about the thing, right, you might not be thinking about the thing at all, but most importantly, you're not thinking about, where is it, why isn't it here, how's it going to get here, right? You're just doing something else. Okay, and then the thing shows up. That was Kairos time, but I wasn't even looking for it. Wow, it appeared out of nowhere. Yeah, because in the opportune moment, that's what fucking happened. It's not going to happen when you count the clock or you're looking at the calendar. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying it can't, but in the majority of situations, things happen when you're not thinking about it. Okay, because not only you're not thinking about the thing, you're not thinking about the timing, which means you're in alignment. I'm not thinking about these earrings. I mean, okay, someone is going to probably say, oh, but you are, because you keep pointing them out. But I'm using that as an example. I'm not thinking, when are they going to get here? I ain't thinking how I'm going to put them in my ears. No, I'm not thinking about them, right? So, of course, I'm in alignment with something that already is, and that is Kairos time. An opportune moment actually is signifying really how manifestation works. Have you ever had an instance where something showed up just in time? I have a video about this. It's fairly recent if you want to check that out. But an affirmation that might be helpful is saying, this showed up just in time. The money arrived just in time. SP hit me up just in time. I got my job just in time, right? Whatever it is, if you say just in time, that's going to, number one, it's not really going to fuck with your ego, because just in time is like, okay, it's not pinpointing an exact moment, right? With the Kairos time, with the Chronos time, the chronological, it's going by Kairos time, which is more open-ended, which is like, in the opportune moment, the thing showed up, right? Which implies that the thing showed up just in time. Like you got it. There was nothing to worry about, right? So you can say that if you're really concerned about time. And the opportune moment is, a lot of times an inspired action will pop up. Like, you'll be guided to say something, you'll be guided to go somewhere, you'll be guided to make a phone call. The guidance will come, and just as you are, performing that action that you were inspired to do, the thing is coming to you. It's like in alignment. And that's why, because the universe, even though you are the universe, right? But the forces that not of, and you can't really articulate how they work, You sent out the signal. This is what I want. Okay, cool. You're not, there's no interference pattern. It's just you. This is what I want. So the thing is already there, right? But what's going to happen is that you're just in alignment with it. Okay, yeah, it'll get here when it gets here. It got here just in time. So the thing is like making its way to you, and you're just sitting there. All of a sudden you get the idea, oh, let me go to the fucking bakery. I don't know for what. Okay, you want some Linzer tarts. Linzer tarts are really fucking amazing. So you go to the bakery to get you some Linzer tarts, and then what's there? Oh, the SP happened to be there. The SP don't even like sweets. The SP don't work at the bakery. The SP don't live anywhere near the bakery. What the fuck is the SP doing at the bakery? I don't know. But you see, you held your alignment with the thing. You weren't focused on the time or the how. You're just like, yeah, I'm with SP. I feel like going to the bakery. Boom. Okay. Because those forces, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay. No. Boom. Okay. Because those forces, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay. Knows an easy path, a simple path for that. It's easy to fuck shit up because it's trying to look for problems and trying to look for solutions, right? When remember, from the God state, there is no problem, there is no solution. Everything just is all at once. And that's why they say there is no time in those higher dimensional realms. Okay, time, chronological time, Chronos time was designed to measure third dimensional space, but it has no existence unless you're focusing on its existence. So, all right, I don't know how long I was talking. I never know how long these sermons go on, but I'm gonna have me a drink of water. Okay. Chronos time, I believe Chronos and Saturn are the same thing. Chronos is like Saturn's Greek equivalent, and Saturn is the Roman god. But basically, Chronos time is just, it's like, you've ever heard, I know Saturn, I'm not really familiar with Chronos. I know that they're kind of interchangeable, but Saturn is known as like father time, and this is whole other, I don't know, occult symbolism, but that's basically how the third dimensional Earth matrix is governed by time, right? Because think about it, everything for the most part in the 3D is centered around time, okay? What isn't? You have to schedule an appointment. How many minutes is it going to take to drive from point A to point B? What time does the flight take off? You know what I mean? What time is the hotel reservation check-in? Like, do you see what I'm saying? So Chronos time, chronological order, is incongruence with Saturn, and that's father time. And this is just how, like, this is getting into occult symbolism, but I find that in manifestation, there are a lot of symbolisms there, because time really doesn't matter in terms of manifestation. It's just getting your head out of believing that time is real. It's a construct to measure third dimensional space, okay? So, well, if you hate time, then what are you projecting outwards? You see what I'm saying? That's just like someone saying that they hate rich motherfuckers. Are you ever going to be rich? You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say that you hate time. Just say time is always on my side. Time always has my back. And, you really can bend time. I know, because I've done it. And anyone can do that, really. It's just a matter of what you're paying attention to, right? So if you're paying attention to time, you're going to create more of it. But if you're just chill and you're like let's say you're running late, not so. So if you're paying attention to time, you're going to create more of it. But if you're just chill and you're like let's say you're running late, nah, it's okay, I have plenty of time. Getting there in plenty of time. Okay, you know what? That happened just in time. That's it. So be mindful of the way that you're wording your phrases. about time, because if you're saying you hate time, then you're creating more of that, and then you're going to see more time to hate. La 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 la. Have I ever? I am the occult rabbit hole. I mean, I don't really talk about it like on, on here, because this is like manifestation content, and again, they are belief systems, but if you really think about, terms of creating your own reality, a lot of manifestation is hidden. Obviously, occult means hidden. It's in, occult or arcane, which also means hidden. It's in that knowledge, but it's not taught mainstream, right? Because if it was taught mainstream, then everyone would be utilizing that knowledge, and then there would be no real 3D matrix to have slaves to operate it. Manifestation without movement is just a fantasy. There's always movement with manifestation, and everything is a fantasy until it is in front of you, and then it becomes a reality. So you could have a good fantasy, something that you enjoy. You could have a bad fantasy. You have negative, intrusive scenarios playing in your head all day long. Doesn't mean anything is happening in the 3D, but because your conscious awareness is always moving, right? Because you're just being. That means the manifestation is moving because you're thinking of it. You don't shut off thinking. You don't shut off wandering around the matrix just being you. You have energy. So your desires, you're harnessing the potential of all that energy. So there's always movement. And if you're saying that manifestation without movement is just a fantasy, then I'd like to know how that's working for you, because I mean, there's always movement. There's never no movement, because you are the movement. I have another video on this. Your awareness of whatever it is causing the thing to exist. So if you think of the in quantum physics, the double slit experiment, where basically, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. They talk about, the observer is the one who is really initiating how, the shape of the wave shows up for them. There's always movement. Like, that's why you can have 10 different motherfuckers looking at the same thing, and they'll all have a different perspective. Or sometimes, let's say, if you're speaking to someone and they're into like manifestation, and then you see something, you're like, wow, they're getting a lot of movement. But to them, they're like, no, but you see it. You see what I'm saying? It's all about perspective. La, 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 la. Not my most recent, the one where I I don't know, maybe that's my alter ego, that weird filter. Oh, thank you. You're amazing too. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Oh, thank you. You're amazing too. Thank you for being here. Thank you everyone for joining the live. I don't know, everyone always asks me, number one, yes, this is going to go on YouTube. Number two, I do not have a schedule for when I go live. I just take the inspired action, and then I go with it, and it works. How to not focus on the 3D when your desire isn't there. Well, you can't look at it as not being there. That's when you would want to go into your imagination or your affirmations as much as possible. And you definitely wouldn't want to reiterate that it's not there. So even if you say, okay, yeah, it's on the way, I mean, that could be a better statement about it. You don't, like, here's the thing. With affirmations, you don't need to necessarily say it in a present tense. If it's too uncomfortable for you, you can say it in a way where it's arriving, or I know it'll happen, right? If that is sensing as more comfortable and your is different. So if you're saying that it isn't there, you could be like, yeah, it's arriving. It's arriving shortly. You can tweak it like that. You don't have to say it's already happened. It's already happened, because some individuals might be able to do that, some individuals might be able to do that, but some might not. This is why with manifesting, you want to make sure that you're affirming things that you are comfortable with. Manifesting, you want to make sure that you're affirming things that you are comfortable with. Number one, so it doesn't feel like a chore, even though you kind of in the beginning, especially if you're trying to change a belief system, you might want to make a little bit of a routine out of, remembering to repeat your affirmations, but you want to make sure that your affirmations resonate with you. So if there's an affirmation that someone told you to say, but it's just not resonating with you, whether it's like too big of a stretch from where you're at now, or whether it's just not worded in the way that you find natural to you, then you can always tone it down and then work your way up to it. So instead of saying it's already here, you can say, yeah, it's arriving shortly. And then maybe at a certain point, it'll arrive, or you can work yourself up to saying it arrived. It really depends on the individual. Oh, you've gained so much confidence in yourself from watching my videos. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear that. Every time you manifest an SP, a better one is coming. Well, that might be a belief you have. Because if you're saying every time you manifest, it's still a story you're saying. So that's what you're still a story you're saying. So that's what you're manifesting. So do you want SP, or do you want someone better? Because if you want SP, then you're not going to focus on anyone else. You're just going to say SP is here, it's done, and SP showed up as the best version for me, and that's what it is. I'm just looking in the chat. Oh yeah, this is a vibe right here. Hell yeah. Woo. Your videos boost confidence with 3D is crazy, and you're still. Woo. Your videos boost confidence with 3D is crazy, and you're still struggling to overcome. Hey, Gypsy. If you're saying the 3D is crazy, you're likely going to get more of that. So you want to kind of pacify that thought. You want to say everything in the 3D is working out magically in my favor. You don't want to ever say that your 3D is a shit show, even if to your logical mind it looks like one. You're affirming onto your SP, but should you be affirming for yourself? I mean, here's the thing with like affirming, it doesn't really matter what you're saying as long as you're not thinking against it. So affirming for yourself, saying I am in a healthy, loving, committed relationship with SP, and then you saying an affirmation, SP is madly in love with me, SP can't live without me. I think that's fine if you want to, tackle both ends of it. But if you're saying you're affirming for yourself, is it in relation to SP, or is it just for you? Because, something else that I don't agree with, which, is like another manifestation myth, to piggyback off of the topic that I started with, is that you don't need self-concept to manifest an SP. So I don't know if you're saying that you want to affirm for yourself because you think that you have to affirm for yourself in order to gain self-concept to manifest SP, because that's a bunch of bullshit. So, some individuals do, work on self-concept to benefit them because that's something that they might need for where they're at. But you don't need to work on self-concept to manifest an SP. It's totally different, in my opinion. Is it possible to manifest attending a specific event? Of course. So whatever would work for you, you can visualize yourself at the event and how much fun you're having there. Like make a short little scene and just replay that over and over again. Or if you're not like super into visuals, you can just say, I'm so happy I got to attend this event. I had a blast. I had the time of my life there. It's really the same formula with everything. It's just you want to place yourself as already being there, and you don't want to think against it. And another thing that I want to address is that there's always movement, right? I literally just said that. There's never not movement. So let's say you're manifesting an SP and you've been in no contact with them for 3 months. And then all of a sudden, you notice that they unblock you, okay? But you're affirming, oh, we're happily married, but you were no contact with them for 3 months, and then all of a sudden they unblock you, and you're pissed about that? Like maybe it's not the full-blown manifestation, but you also, and this could be for money or health or career or anything else, okay? If you are even seeing a little bit, okay? If you are even seeing a little bit, you want to count that as a win because it's still movement, okay? So a lot of times individuals can be like, okay, but I was affirming and I was visualizing, I was scripting, I was doing this, I was doing that. But then what you get something, right? And then you're not satisfied with that. So then you go into a potentially negative headspace and say it's not working, or you didn't get the whole thing. And then now you took your focus away from that win and you put it on a fucking L. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't do that. Everything is positive. And the more that you incorporate positive thinking, as fucking cringe as that sounds, right? Like, hell, think positive. Okay, like, shut the fuck up. But it's true. It's very true. What you're doing is you're programming your brain now to look for positives in the situation rather than negatives. So your 3D can look exactly the same. You might be hearing crickets, like there's no movement whatsoever. But if you're looking at that differently, oh yeah, the 3D, okay, I know shit is moving behind the scenes for me, so I really don't care what's going on. That's a great way to look at it as well. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like you're going to start to see a shift in yourself. The internal shift is more important than anything that goes on the outside. Because if you are swayed by the outside, that means that you have not shifted. The axle moveth not, attain thou that. That is what Aleister Crowley says, okay? What this means is that you are unshakable. 3D could be swirling tornadoes. You don't give a fuck because you chill. You're like, I'm rooted to the ground in my beliefs that everything is perfect and I'm well and I'm safe, I'm protected. So what the fuck does it matter what's going on there? You want to be so unbothered by the 3D that nothing matters. That's, I said, again, this is like a promo for all my recent TikToks, but what I said, because, some of you might want to look more in depth on each of these subjects that I'm touching on, I said, just be in I don't give a fuck mode. Because when you're in I don't give a fuck mode, what is that signaling? That's like, yeah, 3D, I'm not taking you seriously. The fuck was that? You think I'm gonna take you seriously? That was like a one-night stand. Okay, yeah, that happened. Moving on. Okay? That's how you want to be. That's how you want to be so unbothered by shit. And you're gonna get to that point the more that you train yourself to get to that point. Some individuals can get there immediately. It's just like a switch. And you might be able to do that with certain things in your experience, and other things you just might not. But you're going to get to that point where you're just not going to care. You're going to actually, like, you're going to find the 3D fucking comical. You'd be like, what? Like, okay. So that's kind of what I got for you. I don't even know how long I've been talking, but, you know, like I said in the beginning, time doesn't exist. Subliminals. What do I think of subliminals and robotic affirming? I think that if, you know, okay, subliminals, in my opinion, subliminals work like a placebo, because if you go into it with the intention, because you don't know what the fuck is on there really, but if you set a positive tension, this subliminal is going to work for me, then it's going to work for you. But if, you know, you go in there with like, I don't know if this is going to work, then that's likely the result you're going to get. So it really depends on your perspective of how you view the subliminals, because if there's nothing being said in them, it's kind of just like you get to project whatever you want onto it. So if you think they're going to work, they're going to work. If you think they're not going to work, they're not going to work. And robotic affirming, I'm definitely on board with robotic affirming, because you're always affirming anyway. It's just thoughts are affirmations, but only now it's like you're installing thoughts that you prefer rather than thoughts that you don't want. So robotic affirming, I think, is a great way, especially to switch out a belief system, because it's the repetition that's going to help with that. But you know, you want to be mindful of your thoughts, because like I say in a lot of my other videos, you can sit and robotically affirm for a few hours every day. But if in between your robotic affirmation sessions, you're thinking like shit about your desire, that's wavering. You canceled it out. So you want to be mindful of your thoughts throughout the day. That is the number one thing. You have to be mindful of the way you're thinking about everything, because it can be easy to be in the zone and say, okay, I'm going to robotically affirm now. I'm going to visualize now. And then the rest of the day you're thinking poorly. Hello, you know what I'm saying? That don't even make sense. So the most important recommendation is for you to be mindful of your thoughts. If you're manifesting money, but in the moment it didn't reflect, that's still a story that you're telling. You're still saying that it didn't reflect. Like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So if you're looking at it not being there, that's still coming from your ego. So are you the version of you in every moment who is secure in their finances, or are you not? That's the most important thing. So if you're, you know, wondering how is this going to get paid, you're going to switch that to that's already taken care of for me. I don't know how, but it's taken care of now. That's it. Because it's about being the version of you that has a thing in every sector of your life. So if you're someone who's wealthy, you've already manifested that version of you who is wealthy. You're not concerned about the money. You're not concerned about it not being there in the 3D. You're like, shit is already covered. All my shit is on auto pay because I got it like that. You have to be aware of who you're being. You have to be aware of who you're thinking from. Are you thinking from a broke motherfucker's point of view? Or are you thinking from a rich motherfucker's point of view? With SP, are you thinking from a motherfucker's point of view who they're like, yeah, I got this shit. That's my fucking husband, wife, whoever, you know, whatever you want to call them, okay? Or are you thinking from, oh my God, they left me on red for 6 minutes. Like, do you see what I'm saying? So that's why I said the most important thing, you gotta be mindful of your thoughts. How are you thinking from? Woohoo! How are you thinking from? Woohoo! It's been a while since you've joined live. If you're manifesting a specific person, if you're manifesting a specific person and you're saying there's a third party, you want to stop saying that there's a third party. If you're manifesting a specific person and you're saying there's a third party, you want to stop saying that there's a third party. And to start figuring out, like, how did you create that? Do you have a story about this person? Relationships in particular, because, you know, that third, don't focus on third party, but if there is a story there, is SP a cheating type? Do you have a story about other people in relationships? That's important to look at. If there's been a pattern, and this could be for SP, this could be for money, this could be fucking anything. If there's a pattern that you notice in a certain sector of your life experience, you definitely want to address that, okay? Because it's coming up, it's presenting itself to you, and that's when you're saying, oh no, this shit, hey, because it's coming up, it's presenting itself to you, and that's when you're saying, oh no, this shit happened again, right? Well, again, because so if there is, again, like I said in the beginning, you don't have to go around looking for shadow work, looking for some shit to fix, okay? The shit will fucking find you. The shit should be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And you're gonna be like, not you again. And yeah, it's me. I'm here. What's up? How you doing? That's how it works. You don't have to go looking for it. So if there is a pattern and you are aware that there's a pattern, what is the meat and bones of that pattern? What does that pattern say about who you perceive yourself to be in the area of that pattern? Oh, thank you so much. Physical appearance, those that seem impossible. Well, nothing's impossible. But if you think something is impossible, then you're creating that story for yourself. So you want to stop with that. Physical appearance, what are you changing? What are you, editing, if you want to go with that? So what do you want? Let's just say, I'll just use all right, you want to change your eye color. Okay. Let's just go with that. You're going to think of what eye color you want. And you could either visualize yourself with that eye color. You could look in the mirror and see yourself with that eye color. Or if you're not a visual individual, you could script it out. And you don't have to do it 8 million times. I feel like that's just, if you want to script it and talk about your beautiful physical appearance change, that's fine. But you don't need to write it over and over again. Most importantly, you want to start saying affirmations, which the affirmations in this case would be, I am so happy and grateful that my eye color is XYZ ABC, or whatever the physical thing is that you're manifesting. And, you would keep saying that. And every time you look in the mirror, you're not going to focus on the old eye color or whatever else you don't want to see or that you're changing. And you say, I'm so happy and grateful that I see physical evidence every day that I have this, and that characteristics. Do you be your manifestation? Okay, I totally missed that comment. If you want to retype that comment, because the chat just scrolled, do you be your manifestation? Whoever wrote that, if you want to share it again, please. Thank you. You always overanalyze your manifestation or methods. You can't tell between feeling or knowing. Okay, so a feeling, number one, okay, emotions, I don't know if you mean like an emotion, like if you're having an emotional experience, that's not a knowing, that's an emotional experience. If you feel sensations in your vessel, a knowing is calm clarity, which you've all had examples of this. You just knew something was going to happen, and it did. There was likely no feeling, emotion associated with that. It was just pure alignment, and then the thing happened, right? Because you just knew it. So knowing it's a thought that comes to you, but it's feeling natural. Like you just know that that's what it is. You just know that that's what's going to happen, and there's no emotional turmoil. Even if you get overly excited about something, that still does not necessarily imply a knowing. It just implies, oh, I'm excited. Okay, but are you, like, think about it. If you receive $10 million, okay, likely when you first get it, you're going to be like, ooh, wow, that's, if you receive $10 million, okay, likely when you first get it, you're going to be like, ooh, wow, that's exciting, okay, but if you've already adopted the identity of someone who has $10 million and you get the $10 million, you're not going to likely feel excited. You'd be like, yeah, okay, because that's the naturalness of it. And that's how you can tell. The more calm you are, this way I will fucking preach about calm, new fucking neutrality, because that's knowing. There's no, ooh, giddy excitement. There's no, oh, what the fuck is going on? No, it's just, the knowingness produces as a calm sensation in your vessel. That's how you tell. And likely when you know something, of course, a thought is going to pop in, because that is how you compute what your God self, higher self, universe, source, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that's how it computes it. That's how you compute what your higher self is guiding you in alignment with. It's a thought. Is the 3D fake and our imagination real? I mean, okay, the 3D is not I mean, like, you can touch it, you can taste it, you can smell it, it's real to an extent, but it's still a byproduct of the things that you imagined. So neither is no more or less real. It's just that the 3D, if you want to think of it, it's condensed. It's real. It's just that the 3D, if you want to think of it, it's condensed imagination that has slowed down and is now here in tangible form. Neither is more or less real. Okay, so I mean, the 3D is technically old, like it came from previous thoughts, but there's still a quality of realness to it, but it doesn't mean that your imagination is fake, because the 3D had to come from your imagination. So it's like the chicken lays the fucking egg. The egg is a byproduct of the fucking chicken, or is one of them fake? No, but it's just one is a byproduct of the other. That's really what it is, in my opinion. How do you keep calm clarity? You have to mind yourself in every moment that you feel an intrusive thought come up, or an intrusive emotion, because that's where it counts. Okay, if you're feeling calm throughout your day, you don't need to fucking think about it, because you're calm and everything is good. But in those moments that something arises that you don't want, whether it's a thought or an emotion, it's those moments that are the most crucial, because you're saying, I am not going to react in this way. I am not that. This is my new identity. And it's important to do that, because what you're doing is you're hacking the system. You're breaking the matrix, because you are responding differently than you would have before. And that is what implements change, right? Because you are now being different, so you have changed the algorithm. So the more that you do this, and you say, okay, you know what, I'm just going to breathe through this. I realize that these emotions are not real. They're processing through my vessel. I'm going to let them go. That's what you want to do, but you want to do it in the moment. And the most important thing is you're not going to associate the emotions as something personal to you. You're just going to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. Those emotions are there. It's fine. I'm going to keep my mind and my thoughts in alignment with what I want. I'm going to deep breathe through it. I'm going to let the emotions pass. And then emotions come up, and then you're kind of over it, right? Like you calmed yourself down. You're like, what the fuck? Like, I can't believe that shit even fazed me. So it's important about implementing this in the moment that it counts, okay? So you can even affirm, I am calm, I am safe, I'm at peace, right? To just get your mind, even affirm, I am calm, I am safe, I'm at peace, right? To just get your mind out of that, that sticky funk of stupid thoughts, okay, which is going to calm your emotions down, but you want to breathe, okay? You want to take the deep breaths. I have another video on this. This is like a plug for all my fucking recent content, but it's all good. If you want more of an elaborate explanation, the videos are there. You almost gave up on LOA. You had a super rough week. Any advice on how to help stay the course? It's just a week, and you know what? That week is over now because you're on this live stream and you chilling and everything is good, right? So the only way that rough week can surface again is if you pay attention to it. So, I don't know what's going to be easier for you. You can rub it. So, I don't know what's going to be easier for you. You can revise certain things in your mind if you feel like that works. Or you can just simply say, you know what, that week happened, so what? I know who I am. And you really don't pay attention to that again, because the only moment of creation is now. So if you're thinking about that week, you're really bringing it into the now moment, which can potentially create that week or something similar again in a perceived future moment. You're creating from the now. So you can say that week never happened. You can revise it, or you can just be like, you know what? There's always movement to my benefit. Everything is perfect. I don't need to worry about anything. General affirmations, if there's something specific that you want to affirm for, of course, you can do whatever you want. But if you just feel like you're kind of giving up, you should be like, you know what? It doesn't matter how everything is working out perfectly in my favor. That's what it is. Ooh. I'm just jamming. Now I have my little earbuds in. Typically I have my jamming headphones when I'm on here, but I was like, I don't wear my cute earrings, so I'm gonna just put my earbuds so y'all could see them. So I don't want to keep this live too long. I know that I always fucking say that. But let me do like one more question. If anyone has any questions that you think might be beneficial for everyone in the chat, and then I'm gonna work on getting this uploaded and downloaded to YouTube. Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. Okay. What do you feel about method acting, getting an extra plate at the table for dinner? Okay, so what you're talking about is just you're kind of going through the motions and you're enacting physically of the manifestation already being there. So I personally think this is a great tool, okay? You can do physical actions like that, like setting an extra plate at the table, or let's say if you want to move into a new home, you can buy, I don't know, like a nice set of dishes or something. You know what I mean? This is what Florence Scovel Shinn calls digging the ditches, right? You're kind of preparing by doing something physical for the desire, which shows that it's an act of faith. Yep, see, I knew it. I got my puzzle piece, which means I've been talking for an hour, so I think this is good. Perfect last means I've been talking for an hour, so I think this is good. Perfect last question. I absolutely love this. But you don't need to do a physical act, okay? You really don't need to lift a finger. If you're inspired to do something like, you know, we set an extra plate, or to do something like, you know, we set an extra plate, or to, I don't know, do something else, okay? Maybe you got an RSVP for a wedding and you responded that you're bringing a date, but there's no SP in sight in the current 3D moment. Then yes, that can be great, but you don't need to do anything physical. All you need to do is do the method acting, conduct the method acting in your mind. And all that really means is you're shifting identity, and you're really embodying the character of the individual who has whatever it is now. So how do you do that? Yes, you can set an extra plate. Yes, you can book that trip. I mean, you can do whatever you want in the 3D, but it's more important that you are conducting yourself, and you're conducting your internal affairs as the motherfucker who already has the thing. You're conducting your internal affairs as the motherfucker who already has the thing. So with an SP, you're not going to look at them not contacting you. You're going to look at, okay, yeah, they're always by my side. It doesn't matter. I'm so loved. I'm so chosen. Ugh. I get treated like royalty in all of my relationships. That would be also a form of method acting. Okay, some people might find it beneficial to buy a wedding ring and then wear that, and you know, it really depends on you if you want to do something physical. But it's more important always in the manifestation handbook to conduct yourself like that in your mind. And if you're guided to do something in the 3D, it'll just feel like you're moved to do it, and you're not going to really think about it. But in your mind, you know, who are you being? So if you want to even invent an alter ego for this method acting technique, you give them a different name. You know what I'm saying? You could ask yourself, if you feel like you're about to be triggered by something, would so-and-so alter ego react this way? No, so-and-so alter ego would respond like this. So it could be fun. It could be a fun little method if that's something that resonates with you. But I think that's perfect, because that's what you're doing anyway with manifesting, right? You're shifting your awareness from an identity that doesn't serve you, and you're placing it into an awareness of an identity that serves you. Okay, so it's really like, here's your current 3D, here's an identity that serves you. Okay, so it's really like, here's your current 3D, here's your desired timeline. They both exist at the same time, but if you keep, you know, thinking from the person who is current 3D looks like this, you're not over here in your desired timeline in your mind. And that's the actor who you are playing, okay? Fake it until you make it, or some shit like that, even though you're not really faking it, but you know what I mean. In your mind, you're just obliterating anything that seems like it's contradictory to your desire in the 3D. You're holding focus and firm on that story of who you want, and you are most importantly thinking from that version, not, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I'm married to SP right now? No, it's of course SP is committed to me. We're happily married, like, of course, right? So it's important, because if you're manifesting SP, then you get all excited or you get anxious if they hit you up. It's like, that's not method acting. No, because method acting the proper way for an SP example, when they call you or text you, you're happily married to them, right? So you'd be like, oh, yeah, of course. You're still going to want to make it as natural as possible. And the longer you do that, the method acting in your mind, the more natural it's going to feel over time. So that is what I got for you today. I do want to get this video uploaded onto YouTube, so I'm not sure when that's going to be. I just want to keep the YouTube, so I'm not sure when that's going to be. That's why I just want to keep these lives like a little bit shorter. This way it's easier to upload. And thank you all for joining me. A little bit shorter. This way it's easier to upload. And thank you all for joining me. And just in time. And I will talk to you guys later.